This is Mr. Martin. These are video notes for section 12.1 for Geometry Advanced. This is the fourth video for section 1. We're going to be looking at some other types of problems. So we just talked about how to identify sine, cosine, and tangent, and you should have a really good idea of how to find those values if you're given a triangle and you know the three sides, or even if you have two sides, you can use the Pythagorean theorem to find the third side, and then in this video, at the end of the video, you should be able to solve a right triangle using trig functions for a missing side, and you should be able to solve a right triangle for missing angles. So let's go ahead and take a look at a couple examples. For this first one, I've got a right triangle with a 73-degree angle here. And I know that this is my hypotenuse over here. And let's move that over to here. This is my hypotenuse. This is my opposite side. And this is my adjacent side. So one of the most important things here is to be able to identify which two sides of the triangle you're working with. And then from there, figure out what trig function involves those two sides. So I've got the opposite side, I've got the adjacent side because that's got my x, and this has a 14. The hypotenuse doesn't have anything on it. So that's how we would know that we're not going to use a trig ratio that uses the hypotenuse. So seeing that I've got the opposite side and the adjacent side, I know that my tangent function uses opposite and adjacent. So I can set up an equation where the tangent of 73 degrees is equal to the opposite side, which is 14, over the adjacent side, which is what we're trying to find, which we're going to let be x. Okay? So, you know, this opposite and adjacent, again, we're standing over here where they give us the 73-degree angle. Alright, so we have this equation and we want to solve it for x. Usually what I'll do is I'll put this over 1 so I have two fractions, and now I can cross multiply, so I have x times tan 73 is equal to 1 times 14. And even though this looks kind of weird and not what we're used to, we can still divide by everything on this side to isolate the x. So I'm going to divide by tangent 73 degrees on both sides. So these are going to cancel, and then to solve for x, all we have to do on our calculator is do 14 divided by tangent 73. Again, make sure that you're in degree mode. You should be in degree mode from the last videos. And go ahead and check that your calculation on your own calculator, and make sure that you also get 4.28. Now, in these problems, there's no units, so we don't really need to include them in the answer. But if there were, make sure that you included them with your answer as well. Let's go ahead and take a look at example B together as well. So just like the last problem, I'm going to label my sides. Here's my hypotenuse. I'm standing over here where they give us the angle 24. So hypotenuse doesn't change, and then clear across the triangle is my opposite side, and then here's my adjacent side. So I'm going to highlight the two sides of the triangle I'll be working with. I've got the hypotenuse as 18, and I want to find the opposite because that's where the x is. So using our SOHCAHTOA again, I know that the sine function uses the opposite and the hypotenuse. So I'm going to use the sine of 24 degrees. And that's going to be the opposite side, which is x, over the hypotenuse, which is 18. Alright, I'm going to put that over 1 again. I'm going to cross multiply. So for this one, I get x is equal to 18 sine 24 degrees. Now, notice how I put the 18 in the front of the trig function. That way there's no confusion, and you don't have to worry about making silly mistakes on the calculator that you might be taking the sine of two numbers multiplied together. So again, go ahead and plug that into your calculator and make sure that you get 7.32. So x is 7.32. Again, if there were units given in the problem, make sure that you include them in the answer. Very important concept that we're talking about in this video, so if you have any questions, make sure that you ask me in class, and make sure you really get a good handle on this concept. So that's it for this video. The next video we're going to learn how to find missing angles. So we will see you then.